Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a quick review of the Allpowers R2500. This is a 2500 watt portable power station for your house. It's basically like an electric generator where if you lose power and you don't have a gas generator, you can at least power some key appliances with this. It's also great for camping, taking out to the cabin, anything like that. So today I'm gonna do some basic testing on it, make sure that all the features that are on there actually work. So with that, let's get into the review of the Allpower R2500 power station from Amazon. So let's go ahead and turn this thing on. I want to just initially try to charge it up with some of Allpower's portable solar panels. So the screen is flashing on video. That's not really accurate. It does show our watts input and our watts output, and then I guess 18 days remaining. So that's nice to see. So what I'm gonna do here is set up this portable solar panel here. This is 100 watts only. We're gonna plug that in over here. I guess on this side over here, we have the inputs, and one of those inputs is a solar input. So let's plug this in and see how much charging we can get on a relatively cloudy day, but I'm still curious to see. Let's make sure that all that solar input stuff works. So I am gonna turn this unit around so that the input plug is on this side. And then let's go ahead and remove some of these excess cables here. I don't need these. And then let's go ahead and use this expandable solar panel. So this is from Allpowers as well. Like I mentioned, it is 100 watts and it comes with these little kickstands here. So we can go ahead and set that up facing the sun, get all the leaves and stuff off of it. And on the back side here, this does come with two MC4 connectors. So I need to plug these into an adapter that does come with the panel to get into this plug right here. And hopefully this is long enough that I don't have to run any sort of extenders. That would be unfortunate. And yeah, it looks like it's gonna be plenty long. So you wanna run red to red here, and then black to black. And then this end of the cable will plug into the power station just like this. All right. So here is our setup from the panel into the input. And you can see here, guys, we are getting 27 watts of input. So I'm just gonna let that charge for now. I do have a much larger panel. I've got a 200 watt panel in the garage. Let's go ahead and pull that out and plug that in and see what that looks like. Okay, now we've got a much larger solar panel here. This is a 200 watt. So honestly, those Allpower ones, for the size, for those to generate 100 watts is actually pretty good considering this big ass panel is only 200 watts. This one though is bifacial, so you can still see the cells on the back of it there. But let's go ahead and see what we're charging with right here. Now we're all the way at 110 watts input. So that's doing very good today. The sun has come out a little bit more since that last clip. So it appears the solar charging is working well. Now this can take all the way up to 1000 watts of solar charging. So eventually I am going to wire a couple panels in parallel here to get around that 24 volts, but much more amps so we can get closer to that 1000 watt mark. But right now this panel is generating 150 and it's charging no issue, so that is awesome. One other cool feature that I missed here is at the bottom there, it shows how many hours until it's going to recharge. So very hard to see with the reflection, but 06 hours until it's recharged with 130 watts solar. So that's not too bad. One panel to recharge this thing for 6 hours, and then it's gonna last for a long, long time. The next thing I would like to do here is to test out the charging capabilities. So I've got a USB-C cable plugged in here. I'm gonna charge this other power bank right here, and let's see what we get in terms of wattage. Sorry, it's very bright out here today. But right now we say 0 watts, and this is because you actually have to push this button to enable that charging. And once we do that, we should see this output start to rise. There we go, 4 watts output. Now this device is fully charged already, so that could be contributing, but that does match what we're seeing on here, that we have 4 watts input. So that is nice that it does support pass-through charging where you can charge it with the solar panel at the same time that you are using another device and charging another device. Now, next thing I want to try here is let's go ahead and turn this off. Let's instead plug in this DC car adapter here into this slot and plug that into here and see what we get doing that. So again, we have this plugged in now, but unless we hit this actual power button, now it turns on and shows red. And let's see what we see for output here. Now we are all the way up at 62 watts output. So you're gonna get a lot more output from that DC car plug than you are from these right here. And in fact, these actually say how much they're gonna use. I was only plugged into the 12 watt one. So keep that in mind. The USB-C ones can go up to 100 watts, so these are a lot faster charging. But you can see 62 watts output. That is pretty cool. And what does it say on here? 59 watts, so very similar there. Let's quickly talk about the noise here. I'm gonna unclip my mic so you can hear. It's very, very quiet. It almost sounds like a slight buzz. I mean, honestly, the birds in the background are probably louder than that, so that's good too. It's very quiet. Next thing I want to try to do is let's charge this thing with both solar and AC at the same time. So we're going to plug in the AC cable into this outlet right here and charge by both solar and AC at the same time and see what happens. Because I've got an extension cord ran out here, let's go ahead and plug in our little adapter that this comes with. This is just your typical, what does it say, C13 cable. And this will go into our AC charge outlet. So we are right now charging this with both AC and solar. So let's take a look. And there we go. All the way up to 600, 700 watt input. It's starting to crank up a little bit, 1,000 watt input. And you can see we're gonna recharge in 49 minutes. So let me lean a little closer so you can hear that noise. I imagine that's about as loud as this thing gets since it's taking in basically 1,100 watts right now. But that's very cool that we can do both the solar input and the wall input at the same time. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and talk about the app a little bit. So for the app, I have it pulled up on screen right here. There's a couple downsides that are immediately noticeable. Though the unit itself appears to be working just fine, it's charging up with, you can see right here, 1,064 watts. It feels like the app needs some work. So as you can see there, you've got your input wattage and your output wattage. Now those are live. You also see your battery percentage. But the first glaring issue is the remaining time, 1,092 hours, is not correct. Right here, I'm going to be charged in 42 hours, or 42 minutes, I mean. So that is not correct. The 45 days, 12 hours is not correct either. Now, you do have these switches here. If I wanted to turn on the DC ports, I can switch those on and off, and you can hear it make a little beep. Same with the DC 12 volt. So that's pretty cool. Now if we go over to here, there's a couple different modes. Work mode, you can set to standard mode, mute mode, or fast mode, which I don't know what any of those are because it doesn't say in the instructions. So I'm gonna need to do some testing. You also have eco mode, which appears to shut down the device after an hour. But that is about the limitations of the app there. So there you can see that's my device. But if I close this and open it back up, my device is gone and I have to repair it again. So that's somewhat annoying, but you shouldn't have to use this app very often, I would say, because most of it is just switches on the device, which I do tend to like. And this can also be connected via Wi-Fi. Maybe that's a little easier where you don't have to reset it every time. So I just switched it on to fast mode. I immediately went from like a little over 1,000 watts input all the way up to 1,500 watts input. So that's certainly at the max of what that circuit breaker can actually pull. 1,400 watts is like max for a home outlet. So that's a little concerning. But granted, 100 of that is from this panel. So we're probably right at the max. But as far as I know, what that is doing is just pulling more power from the outlet to fast charge it. But I'm gonna go ahead and reduce that back down to standard because I don't want it maxing out an outlet all the way at 1400 watts. I've got a lot of other crypto mining stuff going on in the house, and I've got already a lot of power being pulled. And there you can see I flipped it back to standard and we're back at 1080 watts. So I'm gonna leave it at standard mode for now. The one thing we haven't tested yet is the AC plugs. So let's go ahead and test that out. Okay guys, so I wanna do a pretty important test here. This is a crypto miner. It pulls 600 watts. So I'm gonna be plugging this into this unit. I'm also gonna be plugging a power meter between the cord that's charging this unit, basically right here, so we can monitor how much wattage this is actually pulling from the house. I guess it does say it in the app, but let's go ahead and do this anyway. So now we'll be able to monitor how much this is pulling. Now, just for those of you who don't know, if you're gonna use a watt meter like this, it's not meant to be plugged in long term. They can melt, but for short like this, it should be okay. So there's that. I'll leave this on the ground for now. Now we need to plug in our crypto miner into the unit itself. And I'm not gonna turn the AC on just yet. So here's the setup. We should be pulling about 1000 watts through here, and we are 986, which means that we're pulling about 100 watts, 110 watts from the panel, which makes sense because that's what we were seeing earlier. Now, what I really want to test here is if I plug this miner in right now and I turn this on, because I have to press this button to actually turn that on, are we going to reduce the amount of wattage that we're pulling from the house? Meaning, is it going to run this with solar first and then pull the 500 watts through there? Or is all the power just going to the battery and this is draining the battery? So let's go ahead and put this on. And it's gonna take a minute for that crypto miner to ramp up, and we will see what happens here. All right, our miner has just started to mine. That flashing green light is good. That means it's mining. It should be pulling about 600 watts, and I can feel heat coming out of here. So let's see on this screen, do we show output wattage? And we do indeed show 100 watts output. Maybe it hasn't started mining just yet. Probably has to build the DAG file, so it might take a little bit longer before it goes up to 600. This is still showing 197 watts. So what I really would like to see here is some sort of PV priority mode where my unit is going to pull from solar before it pulls from the grid, meaning the AC is charging this and the panel is going to that, and any excess that the panel can't cover is being pulled from the AC. And so far it doesn't look like it's doing that, but let's see. Okay, so I'm seeing some interesting behavior here. It does show we are outputting 668 watts now. So this is up and running off of the Allpower unit, which is great. Now, some interesting things here is it says we're only pulling 800 watts input, but this is pulling 1400. So it appears to be going directly from the house to the unit without actually charging the device. So the behavior I want to see here is if I unplug the solar panel right now, I want the input to stay the exact same, because that means that the input that's actually charging the battery is all coming from the house. But if the input drops, that means that this solar is not going directly to that unit. So I basically want the input to stay the same when I pull out this charger right here. So let's do that. And the input immediately drops. So unfortunately, this does not have a PV priority mode as far as I'm understanding. It seems like this is always charging the battery, and anything offset is being pulled from AC to that unit. But that's okay. A lot of units don't have this, but still a very interesting test. And I'm able to run this 600 watt miner without issue off of this unit. So guys, that's about it for my review of the Allpowers portable power station. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you want any other products reviewed, let me know. On your way out, check out some of my other solar videos. Check out some of my other solar videos up here, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Modern Reviews.